Hey Scaredy Cats, it's me, Scaredy Matt. Today we're going to talk about Basket Case, because I promised we would. What kind of a horror YouTube channel are you going to make that doesn't talk about Basket Case? What can I say about Basket Case that hasn't already been said? It's an absolute classic, and I'm sure you've all heard just about everything there is to know about this masterpiece. Basket Case is the type of movie that you probably have an idea of in your head if you haven't seen it. Maybe even if you have seen it. Maybe you think you know what I'm going to talk about. Maybe you think I'm going to say that it's so bad it's good. But I don't think that's fair. Basket Case isn't so bad it's good. It's a sincerely good movie. A great movie, I would go so far to say. A cheap-looking movie, for sure. An amateurish movie, yeah, certainly. But I think people get the wrong idea about movies like this. You can't judge Basket Case by the same standards you judge the average piece of schlock. Part of the reason it looks cheap is because it was cheap. Very cheap. The movie had a budget of about $35,000, mostly put up by the director and producer. And when I say producer, I mean a guy the director knew. Part of the reason it looks amateurish is because a lot of the making of Basket Case was done by amateurs. Basket Case isn't an unintentionally goofy movie made by an out-of-touch filmmaker who doesn't understand how silly the premise is. It's a comedy made by people working hard just to get a movie made. A lot of the bizarre choices people might look at sideways now were either deliberate comedy, an attempt to obscure the shoestring budget, or in some cases, a little bit of both. On top of that, despite having a deliberately dumb and ridiculous premise, it manages to wring some genuine pathos out of its characters. There are parts of this movie where I'm sincerely moved. And even when I'm not, all of the characters are memorable. It's a surprisingly sensitive movie from the director of Frankenhooker.
In 1990, the makers of Basket Case and Brain Damage bring you...
Want a date?
Frankenhooker.
Hell, it's a surprisingly sensitive movie from the director of Basket Case. The movie follows a guy named Dwayne as he checks into a ratty hotel in a grimy-ass 80s New York type of place. The movie really captures the feeling of being in a shitty area. The whole thing feels dirty and scummy. You want to take a shower after watching. It's really accentuated by the muddy and grainy look you get whenever they had to film in the street. It's all done guerrilla style with just the director driving by and filming the actor as he goes, because you're not going to get a permit to film Basket Case. Everywhere Dwayne goes, he carries around a big wicker basket. What's in the basket, everybody says. I want to know what's in the basket. Spoiler alert, it contains his formerly conjoined twin brother, Belial, a hideously deformed latex puppet that the movie doesn't show you for the first half hour and then never stops showing you after that. Dwayne and Belial are on a mission to track down and murder the doctors who forcibly separated them when they were children, leaving Belial to die. They didn't even try to save Belial or treat him with any sort of human dignity. They just shoved him into a trash bag and left him to suffocate in a dirty alley. The only reason he survived is because of a psychic connection that he and Dwayne share that has become a one-way street for some reason now that they've been separated. So Belial can speak inside Dwayne's mind, which is great because that means Belial can talk and you'll never see him talk, so they don't have to move the puppet's mouth. And I mean, look at this. This is a child. I mean, not actually, it's a monster puppet, but in the fiction of the movie, this is a human child. These boys are mutilated. One is abandoned, treated like literal garbage. It's hard not to feel bad for Belial. I mean, sure, Belial is not perfect. He does a lot of bad things. He kills a lot of people, for one. He's controlling and manipulative of Dwayne. And in a couple of highly regrettable scenes, he sexually assaults some women. Content warning for what I'm about to say. But in the middle of the film Basket Case, about a little rubber puppet, there's a scene where Belial humps the dead body of a naked woman covered in blood. In a scene so tasteless, it actually made the crew walk off set. And the crew was, 3 or 4 people the director knew. But as bad as he is, nobody has ever treated Belial like anything but a monster. He's carried around in a basket by the one person who even knows he exists. He's not allowed to be seen by people. People will be frightened, they'll lash out at him. He has to remain hidden and survive off of the packages of raw hot dogs his brother dumps all over him. I mean, he's named Belial, for Christ's sake. He's named after a demon. What choice did he have but to act like a monster? What other options did life give him? And Belial may look like a monster, and he acts like one a lot of the time, but the movie never loses track of the fact that these two men are brothers. They fight, sometimes they resent one another, but they love each other. The central conflict of the movie emerges as Dwayne begins to take his place in the larger world, making friendships and even dating. And of course, Belial doesn't like that. He has some pretty severe abandonment issues for some reason. Dwayne is the only person he has. It's his literal other half. But Dwayne can live a normal life. He doesn't have to hide in a basket. He can go out and meet new people. You can kind of understand why that might frighten Belial. The outside world has never been anything but a threat to him. And now, his brother, the only person in the world who loves him, is slowly but surely taking his place in that outside world, where Belial cannot follow, or at least where Dwayne has forbidden Belial from following. And it's no wonder that Dwayne wants to go out there, because the real world is populated by lots of quirky and interesting characters. Something that's great about all of the characters in this movie is that you see little glimpses into their lives, no matter how small of a part they play. Look at Dr. Needleman, just stuffing his face with pasta between clients. Look at Dr. Cutter, trying to get a tasty slice of that hunk pie. Look at this unnamed nurse with her arm in a cast. Why is her arm in a cast? Why was that actor's arm just in a cast the day they filmed? Also, why are the nurse and receptionist twins? Also, why is there a nurse at a veterinarian's office? Every character is interesting. Every character feels like they're living their lives normally, and you just get to see it for a little while. One character sticks out to me, though, Casey, played by Beverly Bonner. Casey is a sex worker who befriends Dwayne and just hangs out with him. She meets him at a bar, and they just hang out. And she helps him get home when he's had too much to drink. And then, they don't have sex. I know that I'm kind of damning this movie with faint praise here, but she's just such a normal and believable person. I mean, how many movies have you seen with the so-called hooker with a heart of gold trope?
Now, a motion picture like no other. Frankenhooker.
Normally, that's in a movie to manipulate you, because the movie wants to do some real awful shit to that character, and they don't trust you to feel bad for a sex worker unless they show you her being nice, so that you know that she didn't deserve it. Not here, though. Casey's not just her job. She's a nice lady, and she just wants to befriend this weird, sheltered dude. I mean, look at her apartment. It's covered in smiley faces. She just likes smiley faces. That's such a weird little detail, and it really does inform her character. That kind of attention to detail is what makes Basket Case rise above its shortcomings. The director, Frank Henenlotter, would tell you that he cut corners with this movie because he didn't expect anyone to actually watch or remember it. And I think he's lying. I think he's giving a version of events that, in his mind, is funnier. I think it's funny to him that this movie that he didn't give a shit about becomes this huge success. But when you watch it, this movie oozes love and affection out of every pore. Now sure, that's not the only thing it oozes. It oozes sleaze, sometimes literal ooze. It would have been pretty easy to turn out a garbage movie, a movie with an interesting premise but no identity of its own. Something that would have sold but nobody would remember. Kind of like Sharknado or Zombievers. Instead, it's this weird, quirky, hilarious character piece. It's a movie that's equal measure sad, sweet, sometimes in hideously poor taste. Should you watch it? It really depends on your tolerance for B-movies, I guess. If you're looking for something polished, probably not. But if you want something with personality, absolutely give this one a watch. And then check out the bonkers sequels, which get even weirder, culminating in Belial riding around in a mech suit like in Aliens. I'm not kidding. Or check out part 2, where there's a girl basket case and an extended basket case sex sequence. Basket Case is a real good movie. I like it a lot. Talk about a scary movie. You know what would be even scarier is if you didn't press the like button on this video and subscribe to me here at Scaredy Cats, where I'm putting out a new video every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talking about horror movies, not always Basket Case,